All right, we're going to do a foreclosure tour of America, a little video series here. Welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns. It's the week of Thanksgiving. I figured I'd do something a little bit different here. Randy Patrick, your host, putting the realism back in real estate. So I want to give you a heads up. This will be a longer video. We're going to have multiple videos in this series because it's going to take me a while to get through a lot of these locations, but we're going to check stuff out so you can see what's going on in the world of real estate around the country, etc. So first of all, if you're not already a subscriber, if you could help my channel grow and smash that subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. And thank you very much for those who already are and who always watch and provide me with good comments and a lot of information, intel across the U.S. of what's going on, in the different real estate markets. So first of all, this just came out today. I'm not really doing news, but I wanted to tee this up here because this just came out from the, what's it called? I don't even know, MPA Mag here, Mortgage Professionals Association, whatever. It says millions of Americans to lose their homes. And I think it's appropriate to start off the video with this article. It says millions of Americans expect to face eviction by the end of the year, adding the suffering inflicted by the coronavirus pandemic across the U.S. About 5.8 million adults say they are somewhat to very likely to face eviction or foreclosure in the next 2 months. According to a survey completed by the U.S. Census Bureau, that accounts for a third of the 17.8 million adults that are behind on rent or mortgage payments. So obviously, the CARES Act, allows people to, pause their mortgage payments. What they're looking at, though, is the fact that if you signed up at the start of the program, that you could be over in March. So it is what it is. Basically, roughly half of the households not current on their rent or mortgage payments in Arkansas, Florida, and Nevada think there's a strong chance of eviction by early January. This equates to more than 750,000 homes where an eviction is the biggest worry, according to the survey. By metro area, the threat of eviction is most pressing in New York City, Houston, and Atlanta. So ultimately, in the end, it just shows that stuff's not getting better and people are getting worried. But in the end, this economy is stalled and the housing industry is stalled, and everyone's getting hit from both ends. But the whole point, though, is that you got to look at what's happening now, and things are changing. Things are starting to play out. We'll see what happens over the course of the next few months. I want to get into this right now so you can see what is going on. So really, if you think about it, it's like, well, this is the foreclosure tour of America. I'm going to look at a bunch of cities. This is episode 1. I'll probably have 3 or 4, maybe even 5, depending on how much time it takes me to get through this. This will be the test one. So why am I doing this? Well, I'm setting up a multiple video series of 4 to 5 videos to educate the general public, so you guys out there. So I get a lot of questions, and I figured, let's talk about what goes on. People do inquire, and I'm happy to respond, and I usually give a synopsis based on the data I have access to at local markets. So really, it's reviewing what's going on out there in multiple cities. It's going to be based on the FHA delinquency list. So there's a list that's produced, I guess you could say, every month or so for the FHA delinquencies. It covers 169 metros. That's pretty much all the major locations across the country. I'm not going to get into the very small locations. I'm probably not going to do 169 of them, but we'll probably do 100 to 150 in that range if it makes sense. We're going to review the local foreclosure volume, which allows us to see what's going on. And there's going to be some differences in where we're looking and how the state plays out. What I mean by that is how the foreclosure process works can differ from state to state. So that will differ in the volume that you're seeing in your local city. So some of you may go, oh my goodness, one city looks like it's out of control and the other one looks like it's in great shape, but really behind the scenes, it's because how they file and how they foreclose, it may not be the case. So it basically, it's time to change the housing narrative. I'm personally sick and tired, I'm sure you are too, of all the housing pro guys saying, hey, everything's great, and look at this. We keep seeing housing going up and going up. I mean, it can only go up so much, and really people are priced out. They are priced out, and I look at it going, we're playing this game at the peak of the bubble, which does not make sense. Time to understand what is really going on. I believe that the changes are happening now. I see it in my market and other markets across the country. The opportunity will pass you by if you're not aware of what's going on. You need to look ahead, not behind. Real estate is it's a business where we go for previous sales to pull what's called comparable or comps, comparable properties to see what our value is, and to use the previous sales to predict, well, not to predict, but to price our listings, etc. Well, you know what, that's great, but we actually have to start looking ahead to predict what's going to happen or see how it's going to play out. Market manipulation will occur. It's happening now, just like the previous housing bubble or crash, so you shouldn't be surprised at that. And I want to just refresh people here. So this is a little snapshot of article that I purchased, video I purchased. It's from Real Vision. You can look them up on on YouTube here. You can watch some of their stuff. They're pretty decent information. And this is a little snapshot on part of the discussion of the video that I was watching. It was talking about how whether the Fed, the lenders, Wall Street, whatever you want to say, were manipulating the market. What I mean by that is our housing market recovery to from the peak of 2006 to the trough in 2012 to where we are today, 21% above the 2006 peak. It wasn't because houses just took off and the economy took off and our wages took off as well too. It's actually far from the case here. It was because of controlled inventory. So you can take a look at this chart here, and this is a snapshot of what happened in July 2010, where you had these repossessed homes in these large counties. Look, Orange County, Cook County, Miami-Dade, Bergen County, Cincinnati, Seattle, Nashville, Denver, St. Louis, and Phoenix. So you had these repossessed homes that were taken back by the banks. They were foreclosed on, but you could see they put the fraction of them on the marketplace, and also they put a fraction of homes over 300K on the marketplace. So that was designed to basically control the volume so things wouldn't crash further. So I see a point to this, but what that really did was it created an artificial growth and increase in price points, which is started off to get us where we are today. So this was a big concern. There's more information about this out there if you do some research. So my concern is we're starting to see this as well. We have an artificial situation going on right now with eviction and foreclosure moratoriums and all these layers, CDC, state moratoriums, etc., that are causing undue stress in the marketplace. So enough of that. So anyway, you can do some of your own research, but this is what I look at all the time. So we're going to hit some cities, random cities here, okay? I'm going to show you what's going on. So let's pick Cleveland. So Cleveland, Ohio. FHA delinquencies are 17.1%. And again, this is the stuff I just got this the other day, and this is based on October 2020 numbers for FHA delinquencies. The serious delinquency amount, the FHA delinquencies have kind of plateaued for a bit. It dropped like 0.2% from September to October, but the serious delinquencies did increase. All right, so you got to be aware of that. So obviously the serious delinquencies are up, and guess what? If you look at the Cleveland area, which is Cuyahoga County, you got about 4,568 pre-foreclosures. So that's basically what's going on right now. And what I do is okay, if it's the city, if it's a metro area, I'm going to try to pull the county or multiple counties to give a better picture of the metro service area. Okay, so you got about 4,500 pre-foreclosures that are sort of in limbo. What I mean by that is, as you can see, only 321 have a scheduled auction date because of some of the moratorium. So a lot of this stuff is not breaking through as of yet. Expect that to change as the new year comes along. But it just goes to show that, look, like there's a lot there. That's 4,500 people are in the foreclosure process in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, which, so if you're thinking, well, I want to buy a home, well, maybe in the future there's going to be some opportunities there. And from either purchase, investment, rental, fix and flip, primary home, whatever you want to do, there's going to be opportunities there. All right, so look at Houston. Houston's a big city, one of the biggest in the U.S. FHA delinquencies are at 22.1%. Serious delinquencies at 15.1%. And again, just FHA. I'm not talking all the other loans segments out there like, the conventional, like Fannie and Freddie and Ginnie Mae back loans. Just FHA, because they produce the information. But just as so you realize that FHAs are the most exposed to delinquencies, and as the segment of loans are concerned, they're the largest segment in forbearance, and obviously we see that their delinquencies are showing in various locations. So Houston, basically, Harris County, you got 707 foreclosures, and this is something I want to point out though, is that the way the court systems and foreclosures work, as I mentioned, vary from state to state. So in Ohio, that's more of a judicial state. So there's a longer ramp up for foreclosure notice and going through the process. So that's why we tend to see higher pay counts. Whereas in Houston, in Harris County, which is in Texas, they don't work that way. They typically have what's called a notice of default, and when they issue the notice of default, they could actually have a foreclosure sale date within 30 days. So there's a lot behind the scenes that haven't hit that notice of default yet that will have an immediate sale date. So that's why I want to make sure that you don't think that Houston having how many million people, I don't even know that, like, it's obviously I think 7 or 8 million people, I believe, in the area. So don't think that's a small amount. It's just what's available or coming on scheduled auction. Okay, and also in some of these locations, I'm going to do a couple of counties. This is Harris County that covers Houston. There's other counties here as well too. If you take a look at what's going on in Houston, the Houston area, just because it's so vast, and like there's sugar lands and woodlands, etc. here. So let me just get this through here. You got Montgomery County with 57, pre-foreclosures as well too. So you can see how it kind of adds up when you're looking around here. You've got Forbed County, which is the Sugarlanders, south of Houston a little bit there. So you got about 800-900 kind of sit there. But again, the way it's structured is a little different. So there's more pre-foreclosures than is actually showing in these locations here. All right. Memphis, Tennessee. So again, I'm just randomly going through that list. I'm going to have big cities, smaller cities, mid-sized cities. I figure I'm just going to work my way around the country. FHA delinquency 17.8%. Serious delinquencies 11.4%. Let's take a look at the foreclosure situation there. And we got about 178 pre-foreclosures in the Memphis area. You can see that the pre-foreclosure number equals the auction number, so it's almost like a 1-to-1 ratio. So all these pre-foreclosures are slated for auction. And just so you're clear, I have a number of data sources I'm using. I'm using the same data source for this exercise, these episodes in the foreclosure tour, because I want to be consistent and not have mixed data sources. I can tell you that not every data source is 100%, and that when I look at some of these locations where I have multiple levels of data, there are discrepancies. But they're not huge. But again, just want to make sure that we're going to use the same thing to be consistent. I'm not going to be playing around with numbers or changing things to suit my narrative, so to speak. All right. West Palm Beach, Boca Raton area, FHA delinquencies 21%, serious delinquencies 15.3%. I've seen big surges in West Palm Beach area. For pre-foreclosures. This is Palm Beach County. You can see all the foreclosures, pre-foreclosures there. They're big red dots. So it's kind of, all the way from, sort of Jupiter all the way down to Boca Raton. So there's, 3,300. Now, this is an area where I have multiple data sources. So I can tell you that there's going to be more than 3,300 pre-foreclosures that are in that county. That's one county. Okay. And just realize that sometimes these data services, they're only collecting a year or two back, and for example in Florida, I know there's so much legacy pre-foreclosures from 4 years, 5, 6, 7, even 10 years ago that are still kicking around. So sometimes these data services that are newer or when they're skimming, they're not going back in time, or they can't get the feeds back in time to populate this. So I can tell you everything you see in Florida, it's actually more than what's really there. All right. So that's big numbers there. Los Angeles, Long Beach. Okay, FHA delinquency 17.8%. Serious delinquencies 12.7%. Let's take a look at what the LA basin's got going on. So about 2,650. Again, California is one of those locations where it's more of a trustee state. Sometimes they do have maybe 60, 90-day notice out there. This is just LA County. Clearly, if you start going, to other counties, which I'll hit in maybe some future videos, there'll be more out there. But, this is actually has gone down because we've seen some of these that are working through the auctions are chipping away at that number. But again, because we're not seeing the pre-foreclosure volume grow because of the moratoriums and things aren't being filed. But the point is, there's a fair amount there, and you can see 397 ready to go to auction. So the auction means it's a scheduled auction date, which means you can bid on it if you wanted to at the local auction, county auction, whatever it is. All right, still a good number there. Let's go to Birmingham, Alabama. FHA delinquencies 18.8%, serious delinquencies 11.9%. Let me hit that over here. And we got 172 pre-foreclosures and 172 auctions in the Birmingham, Alabama area. It's Jefferson County, Alabama. So that's what I do is I look up the counties to see what's going on. Hartford, New Haven, Connecticut area. All right. FHA delinquencies 17.9%. Serious delinquencies, 12%. Now, Hartford's an interesting location because it's been beaten up through the last housing crisis, and we're seeing that as well as we go further here. So in Hartford County, which is kind of the northern part, takes care of Hartford, the northern part, we've got 1,354 pre-foreclosure. You can see deals sitting there. Not that many auctions, so not much is going through the auction yet. It's going to start. And then if you go a little south and you're in the New Haven County, you're at 1,569. So that region has got over 3,000 basically pre-foreclosures there. So that's going to be a hotbed for either lower price purchases or investment opportunities. So again, these are locations where you should be looking, going, okay, either I live there or I want to be there, or I'd like to invest there and see what the opportunity is. And it's just going to get bigger as well. All right, Kansas City. So Kansas City, Missouri and Kansas, so that kind of metro, which crosses two state lines. FHA delinquencies 14.9%. Serious delinquencies 9.4%. When you take a look at Kansas City, again, because of the structure of the way foreclosures work in that state, there's only 63 pre-foreclosures in the Kansas City area. This is Jackson County, Missouri, and then when I go across the state line to Johnson County, Kansas, there's 96. Okay, so they're both, I think, trustee states with their setup. But the point is, again, you can see that there's stuff happening there. It will grow. And also just a caveat here, guys, you may go, well, there's other outlying counties. I just sort of took the most obvious ones. I'm sure, listen, there are some locations that had 6 counties that overlapped in the metro area. Well, I'm not going to go do that, okay? Like, it didn't make sense. So just, there's a couple, 2, 3, whatever, I can pick it up. But the whole point is just to give you a picture of what it looks like in these locations, all right? All right, Tulsa, Oklahoma, FHA delinquencies, 15.9%. Serious delinquencies, 10.3%. All right, we got Tulsa with 1,255 pre-foreclosures kicking around there. So that basically is a fair amount. And that's Tulsa County, Oklahoma. So I didn't really go to the suburbs. Salt Lake City, guess what? Salt Lake City. Sometimes I actually am personally surprised at where things are at in certain locations, because when you hear, I obviously look at the comments on the videos, my videos, and I hear sort of people giving their perspective on their local area, which I think is helpful. It's good intel. Also, people email me directly, and I talk to a lot of people. So I think Salt Lake City, Utah is like a booming market here. But FHA 14.9, serious delinquencies just under 10% there. And when I go to Salt Lake County, 531 pre-foreclosures, which I actually thought was kind of a significant amount. And I know I did this other day for somebody. I took a look at it. So I don't think I even included it here. But, you can go a little bit south, because that's Salt Lake City kind of area. Then you got sort of Provo, Utah below. If you go to the east, you've got Park City. You go to the north, I think there's another suburb as well, too. So there's more in the greater Salt Lake area if you wanted to look at that. Columbia, South Carolina. So FHA delinquencies, 18.8%. Serious delinquencies, 12.2%. So I know Columbia sometimes is a little more depressed economically. It's an interesting city. I've been through it a number of times. A lot of opportunities there. I look at this as like a tier 2 city. So sometimes these tier 2 cities are really where there are good target investments if you're looking to do that. Now, what do they got here? Well, Columbia, you got it looks like Richland County, 747 pre-foreclosures. They're a judicial type state. And then just on the other side, this is where we got to look. On the other side is, I think, Lexington County with 422 pre-foreclosures. So you got about 1,100 and change pre-foreclosures in the Columbia area there. So that's a pretty good number. So they're how can I put it? They're not really going to auction. And they're not really increasing because there's no processing of the foreclosures going on in that location, that state. So just keep that in mind. But again, it's still a good amount there for Columbia, South Carolina. What do we got next here? Hang on, the machine is thinking about it. Spokane, Washington, FHA delinquencies 12.1%. Serious delinquencies 7.7%. So obviously different locations across the country based on how their foreclosure process works. The market where people are relocating to are going to have differences in delinquency counts, etc., and foreclosures. Now, the pre-foreclosures for Spokane is only 52. I remember checking this out for somebody a couple years ago, and it was a lot more. So it's one of those things that I think this is a city where either people are relocating to, and some of this, I guess you could say, what we're looking at, inventory is getting utilized, is getting taken. So keep that in mind. But again, not a heck of a lot there. I would expect to see more as the moratoriums lift. And just out of curiosity, I know it's not really included here, but it's Coeur d'Alene in Idaho is just like 20 miles away. Apparently, it's Kootenai County, so only 42 pre-foreclosures. So not a heck of a lot going on there as far as pre-foreclosures. But again, it's based on the structure of the state and the fact that there's no filings going on at this point in time. But again, that's a popular area too. So I know that the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene kind of metro area has grown quite a bit over the past few years. All right, Syracuse, New York, FHA delinquencies 15.7%, Syracuse delinquencies 10.2%. All right, what do we got going here? 794 in it's Onondaga. I can't say. I want to say it properly. Onondaga County, New York. So there's a lot of Native American / Indian tribe names and things up in that area. All right, so it's interesting. 794 pre-foreclosures, and I think I have a second count here, and I don't. Okay, I don't. So that was just 794. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, FHA delinquencies 20.8%, Syracuse delinquencies 13.5%, and East Baton Rouge Parish 150 pre-foreclosures. So this is what I'm going to say is misleading. So if we go back, you got almost 21% FHA delinquencies and over 15% Syracuse delinquencies. I know that Louisiana is always one of the top 2 or 3 states in per capita pre-foreclosures or foreclosure filings, all right, because it's been depressed economically, because it's been beaten down by hurricanes and floods and whatever. So this is a situation where, this 150, in Baton Rouge, and this is East Baton Rouge Parish. So I guess what they call their counties out there, their parishes. I don't think this represents what is going on there just because of the structure of how foreclosures work. I believe that there would be a lot more there. It just hasn't come to the surface yet. Raleigh, Cary, North Carolina, FHA delinquencies 16.9%. Serious delinquencies 11.2%. Yes, I like the pictures of the sunsets and the coloring. I tend to use those type of pictures in case you're wondering, all right, if I can find them. All right, anyway, Raleigh's a big area. Wake County, 558 pre-foreclosures, which you can see takes care of a lot of Raleigh there. But Raleigh's a big metro. A couple of loops going around as far as it's concerned. You got, Research Triangle Park. You got all the big basketball universities there like North Carolina, Duke, Wake Forest, NC State. So been there a couple times. My son did some work terms up there, so I visited a few times. I do like the city. I think it's got a lot to offer. A lot of people want to buy in North Carolina, and a lot of investors want to invest in North Carolina, by the way. All right, so we got you see, and of course, if you go to Durham County, a little northeast of Raleigh, you see 163. So the point is, I could keep expanding Raleigh, and we could get to 1,000 pretty easy. So there is opportunity there, and this is the thing. There's opportunity in robust growth cities. Just we have to wait for it to hit the market for us, or we have to go get it. All right. Denver, Aurora, Lakewood. Denver is very interesting. Clearly, a lot of people contact me from Denver, going, I don't like, I can't buy homes here because it's way too expensive. FHA delinquencies at 16.2%, seriously delinquencies at 11.1%. So when we hit that here, what do we got? We've got, and this is a multiple county. So Denver County has 116. You're going to go, that's not a heck of a lot. Well, you know what? When I start expanding this, that's actually bigger than what it seems. And I know that for whatever reason, Denver County's foreclosure auction calendar is on the same platform that most of the counties in Florida use, so I can see what's going on the foreclosure auctions. You can actually see the scheduled auctions. But the point is, that's Denver County. Apparently Denver touches 6 counties, believe it or not. 129 in, what's that? Adams County. You've got Arapahoe County with 100, and you've got Jefferson County with 83. So you got to, we're talking, 400 or so, in Denver right now. And again, when you look at that, you would go, well, Denver's a big city. Property values are going up. People are, it's competitive. Why do we have all these pre-foreclosures? Well, that's the dichotomy of the marketplace right now. That goes back to our K-shaped housing market where you can have some markets, so you can have markets that are increasing, right? So we know that the property values are going up, but yet when we look at the rental markets could be going the other way, going south. And the fact of the matter, because of the moratoriums and how the state foreclosure process works, that these are not hitting the market yet. So we don't see the K going the other way. We don't see the start of that. It's coming, folks, but realize that's why when I look at this is where I call false narratives. It's the fact that we're not, this is not the full picture. The market's not bouncing out because of how it's being manipulated and controlled. Simple as that. Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, Duval County is the big county there. I think Jacksonville has the, I guess you could say its fame is it's the largest American city physical footprint as far as like what it covers as far as land mass, as far as city is concerned. FHA delinquency 17.4%. Serious delinquency is 12.2%. And when we take a look at what's going on in Jacksonville, Duval County, 2,626 pre-foreclosures sitting there. If I go just south, there's St. Johns County, which is sort of the St. Augustine area, Palm Coast area, whatever. There'll be probably multiple hundreds in there as well too. I didn't pull that. I just wanted to show you Duval County for now. Again, a lot of investors like Duval County too because the price for properties tends to be a little bit cheaper in that area. What's the big draw for Jacksonville? It's a port location, so a lot of stuff coming from Europe lands in Jacksonville. Also, there's a naval or an Air Force base there as well too. So that's I'll just say military base to make it generic. Okay, that's what goes on there. Guess what? Okay, Chicago. All right, I think we're going to end off with Chicago here because Chicago's a big city. All right, people talk about Chicago a lot. Talk about FHA delinquency 16%, serious delinquencies 14.2%. Talk about Chicago has a high property tax amount and taxation for people's income. A lot of people are leaving Chicago, okay, relocating out of Chicago. It's been well documented over the couple of years. People who work for the state of Illinois, their pensions, people say that there are a lot of reports from the news that those are in jeopardy because of the shortfall of money required to fund those things. Then Chicago has other things. We know what's going on in the media. But if we take a look at, again, it's got a lot of people, all right? Simple as that. It's a very populated area. If you look at, this is Cook County, Illinois, 9,965 pre-foreclosures. We can see the auctions are picking up, 526 auctions going on now. Like literally a couple days ago, there was over 10,000. It was over 10,100. So obviously the past couple of, when this updated, the software updated for my data, it already removed some pre-foreclosures that were sold to the auctions, so it all balances. It balances out. But the whole point is almost 10,000 right now. I can tell you once these foreclosure moratoriums are over, that number is going to skyrocket. You're going to see multiple thousand more hitting the pre-foreclosure block for Chicago. So, if people are in that area and you're going, I don't know what to buy or it's too expensive, whatever, well, my comment would be, geez, there's almost 10,000 pre-foreclosure sitting there. If you do a little bit of work and maybe a little bit of research, you may be able to find a property that you could purchase or deal with the homeowner or invest in, whatever. So again, that's a lot of homes in a very, and again, that's a big area, but that's a lot of choice up there, or put it this way, there's no lack of data available for you to look for, not to look at. That's my sort of point there. So anyway, this basically is the first video. I want to hit some cities there. Obviously, the next one will probably do a bit longer. I've tried to keep around the 30-minute mark here, so I'll probably do 4 or 5 of these. So why I'm doing this, again, I think it's important. 2 narratives are in play. K-shaped housing market, as I mentioned, the bottom part of the K is going to start to grow now. Changes are happening. It is underway. All right. The point, there are properties available right now. You just witnessed it. I just showed you. Why are you waiting? Now, the thing is with these pre-foreclosures, they're either going to be short sales or they're going to be foreclosure auctions or REOs. But the point is, if you're waiting, it's not very smart because our market's changing. It's much more competitive. We will have to compete with institutional buyers, other large investors for these properties. We have to get ahead of them. I can get ahead of them. I can show you how to get ahead of them. It's just a matter of marketing to homeowners, having the right thing to say, having the right system, and knowing what you want to do. All right, guys? So please realize that. So basically, what I'm saying to you right now is there is opportunity. You got to be aware of it, though, okay? You need to contact me for a consultation to find out what I'm talking about. So those that we've played telephone tag, reach out to me again. I'll be around all this week. I can take calls. I'm just plugging away a lot of stuff here. If you're an investor wanting to invest in different locations across the country, hit me up. If you are involved in a fund, an equity fund or investment fund that looking to purchase properties, you need to contact me. If you want to start a fund and you want properties, you need to contact me. If you're a foreign investor looking to invest in the U.S. and you want some information and want to get going, you need to contact me. If you just want to purchase a better priced property, that's all you want to do, which is what everybody wants these days, then you can contact me as well too, and we'll talk about that. So anyway, guys, I'll be trying to blast these videos out here. And again, how to get a hold of me, there's my email right there. Send me an email, give me your contact information and your phone number, your cell phone number, so I can contact you. I'll start trying to get back to people this week. A lot on the go here. A lot is happening. But I want to start this off saying, let's take a look at what's out there. Why? Because people don't talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. It's not a narrative people want to, or not a narrative that certain parts of the housing industry do want to speak about. Listen, there's tons of videos out there. And what's the number one title I see on videos? Housing Crash 2021. Well, you know what? People can talk about it generically and, in layman's terms, whatever. I'm showing you where stuff's at with the data right here. All right, guys, talk to you soon.